What's going on, everyone? Real quick recording. I cannot promise you that there won't be any interruptions. So let's see where this goes. I wanted to answer a question someone sent me in the messenger, and the reason why I want to answer it on here is because I think this could be helpful for others. Um, and I've actually, funny enough, had this similar question posed to me in different ways this week. Um, So just a couple things. The question is this. There goes the interruption. The person who is frustrated with their church, the person who is frustrated with their church and they feel like they're not being fed the word, they feel like they're not connected to the leadership, they feel like they're being scoffed at, they feel like they're kind of being overlooked. Should that person leave their church? And I would say that we should be slow to leave our churches unless we absolutely have to leave. I think that's just wisdom. There's so many different dynamics. Hey, Rudy, close that door for me. Rudy, close that door for me, please. Close the door for me. I'm recording right now. All right, sorry. Um, so I would say be slow. Be slow to leave your church unless you absolutely have to. We don't know. So whenever I hear someone ask me these types of questions, what should I do? Should I leave my church? Um, you know, I sympathize with that person because they genuinely feel a certain way, right? They feel frustrated, they feel upset. And yet, as I'm listening to their complaints, I don't know all the information. I don't. Now I could take them on face value and I could say, man, that sucks. So it's too bad. I'm sorry, right? And I could sympathize with them in that way. But I don't know all the information. I don't. And I don't know what's really going on, right? I haven't spoken to their elders, I haven't spoken to their leaders, their deacons, their other, you know what I mean? Like I don't know their regular attendance or involvement. And sometimes, man, when we get upset about something, when we're bothered about something, it affects everything. And so I don't know if this person or maybe you who's watching who's going through something similar is just upset and frustrated, and now it's bleeding over into how they're interacting with people at their churches. So I would say, man, be slow to leave your church, especially if they're preaching the gospel. Sure, maybe you wish that your elders were more engaging with you or more personable with you and all these things. And I'm not saying that that isn't a problem. That's something you need to go before the Lord about and pray concerning your elders. Maybe have a conversation after you check your own heart and see how can you communicate with them in a way that is helpful, that could bring to light some of your frustrations. Because what happens, man, is that we get frustrated. We don't know how to communicate our frustration. It boils up, and then we end up leaving and blaming the church. And again, to what extent is the church at fault? I don't know. I'm not saying that churches are blameless. Um, I'm not saying that elders are always functioning in their roles. Of course not. That's not the case. But I would say, listen, y'all, it's hard to find a church, right, that preaches the gospel, that is filled with qualified leaders and people who want to live for God in their home and outside their home. Um, and I would say if you are in that situation and all the everything you desire, or maybe like let's say you have a list of things, man, I wish my church was like this, and this, right? Okay. Well, what are you comparing that to? Right? What are you comparing that to? Because, and again, I'm addressing a question, but I'm trying to deal with this broadly so that I touch on different things. But what are we comparing our churches to? Because if we're comparing our churches to, the personality of online individuals, right? Podcasters or celebrity preachers, we're gonna be disappointed, right? This YouTube thing, this is who I am. I'm being myself. And yet in being myself, there's an aspect of my personality that I bring out more because I'm on YouTube and I want you to watch these videos. Um and so that isn't being deceptive. That's just sometimes people, they highlight aspects of their personality. The point is that you don't know me, right? You know of me, and you assume that I'm being genuine. You assume that I'm being faithful and consistent, and I think that that's correct. I think that's my heart's desire, and I hope you can see that. But your elders and the people at your church, and you can get to know, and that takes time, right? That isn't just tuning in at 8:45 a.m. and watching this broadcast. This is week in and week out, every Lord's Day, right? Those when you need prayer, you who do you call? You call your elders, right? It says in James, call the elders to lay hands and anoint you with oil to pray for you. Like, that's who you call. And so I wouldn't be quit. You can sign off, you can log off of YouTube. You can unsubscribe to my channel or your favorite YouTuber's channel. But you can't do that at your church, right? You can do that. Don't do that, mama. You can do that. I'm recording. No, not yet. Okay. You can log off here, right? And you can be done with Edwin or whoever you name the person. But if you do that at your church, and you think that you can just log off and tune out and just go find another church and keep doing that every time you get frustrated, the church isn't the problem, you are. Right? Now, I'm not saying there aren't any problems with the church, but there's a deep soul work that needs to happen in you. In you. And I'm just being honest. Like, I'm just talking to you like a big bro. Um like that's the reality. Like, you need to examine you. And I've been there before, man, where I can find legitimate gripes with churches and with elders of churches I was attending, and I could say, man, you don't get it, they. And there was a semblance of truth in the statements I was making. There really was, right? So it doesn't disinvolve them of the issues that they have. But you know what I noticed about it? And this happened, it took me a couple years. There was a point when I look back and I go, every church I leave is always for a similar reason, and it always produces this frustration in me, this anger, this pride. Maybe I'm the problem. No, nah, I can't be the problem, right? Like, we assume that we're not the problem, and it's like, listen, y'all, if you find a church that is orthodox. Now, I'm not talking about churches that are compromising on the gospel and ashamed of Christ and, disregard clear scripture. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about, man, like, I don't feel as connected with my elders as I should. Um, Man, I would say be slow, man. Like, don't go rogue. Don't um don't go do your own thing. Don't think that you can, be just as faithful as a Christian, kind of street preaching or having Bible studies at your house. That's going rogue. And again, unless there's straight up apostasy at these churches that you're going to, and you've got, women pastors, and you've got, you know um partiality taking place with the CRT and the woke stuff. And even with those things, right? Let's say the woke stuff taking place at your church. I'm just going to get up and leave. I'm done. Well, have you considered talking to your pastor? Have you considered praying for your pastors? Have you considered fasting for them? Have you considered, right? So that it's not just like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. Like where's the humility to say, you know what, I want to listen to what they've got to say. I owe them that, and then I want to give them some pushback in a way that's respectful and helpful. And that doesn't mean you don't leave eventually, right? That may be the case, but who knows if God doesn't use you to speak honestly with them and candidly, that would be the catalyst for them repenting and changing. Um, Maybe not, but who knows, right? And so we're just quick to leave, and that isn't the answer. Just getting up and leaving isn't the answer, because when you leave, you go with you, right? When you leave a place, you may leave them behind, but you don't leave you behind. And if that keeps happening, right, everywhere you go, there seems to be a problem. There seems to be a division. There seems to be strife. There seems to be this frustration in you. Maybe it's not only the people that you engage in different contexts. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's the person you can't shake, right? Maybe it's the man in the mirror. And that's something that we really need to be honest with ourselves about and deal with, because our hearts are deceptive, and our desires are twisted, and our standard is hypocritical and legalistic. And we can just keep going, right? Our expectations are unrealistic. Like man. Um, so anyway, that's what I wanted to share this morning, and this is for um this is having a person in mind, really two people in mind. But this isn't just for them. This is for those of you who are watching, and you can say, wow, I can relate to that. I think there's some application here for me. This video is for you. This video is for you. And I would just say, like you see in the video, be slow to leave your church. Be slow to leave your church unless you absolutely have to. Okay, unless you absolutely have to. And in a lot of cases, you don't absolutely have to. You just really want to, because you're frustrated. And again, not across the board, right? But you're just frustrated. You're bothered. You're angry, and you just can't take it anymore, or you feel like you can't take it anymore. And I would say, man, be careful, because that's gonna follow you everywhere you go unless you deal with it head on and grow in these areas. And this is just the last thing I've noticed for me, that when I change and my circumstances don't change, then I can have a different perspective about my circumstances, right? So if I have a situation that is, um, it's difficult, it's hard. I feel like I can't do this anymore. This isn't fair. This isn't right. Why are things like the way they are? Da 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 da. You fill in the blank. When I change my perspective, even though the circumstances don't change, everything changes because my state of mind changes. Right? That doesn't mean the problems go away, but they give me the tools to deal with the circumstance that I'm going through in a different way. Right? Now I can endure. And again, y'all listen, all this, right? You take this as a application to yourself, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a time to leave, right? That doesn't mean there isn't a time to speak up, but it does mean that we need to do more soul searching and being honest about ourselves. See, you can't control other people, right? You can't control other people. You can't you can't change their personalities, right? You can't do that. You cannot do that. I cannot do that. God can, right? And usually change takes time. Okay, change takes time, and we often don't. We're not patient enough to see change go through. But you know what? You may not be able to change a person, but you know who you can change? Yourself. You can change yourself. You can change your heart. You can change your mind about things. It takes humility. It's the power of the Spirit, right? Spirit of God, as He's conforming us into the image of Christ. It takes time, but you can change you. And so if you find yourself, everywhere you go, there seems to be conflict and drama, and maybe you need to change you. Maybe you need to look in the mirror and change you. All right. Well, that's all. Thank you for enduring some of the interruptions. Those are good interruptions. The kids, and they don't care if you're recording. They got a need. I got a need. I want to watch a show. Right. I'm gonna come down singing because that's what I do, and I don't care if you record it. So anyway, I hope y'all have a good day. Thank you for those of you who tuned in and are watching. Daryl, my brother, grace and peace. I had a blast on your podcast yesterday with you and Montana Viking. Let's see if there's anyone else in here. Daryl, real talk. Appreciate it, fam. Um, yeah, y'all. So that's what I wanted to share. I hope this is encouraging again. I hope you feel equipped and edified, as we think through these matters. I think a lot of us make poor decisions, and you know we we make poor decisions, obviously for several reasons, but one of the ways we make poor decisions is by not checking with others, right? Like others who are mature and older and godly in the faith, and we find ourselves reacting, and instead of thinking through the end result of a matter. We are rash in our decision making, and guess what? Been there, done that, and I'm sure that I will find myself in that position again. And by God's grace, I've grown, and by God's grace, I pray that I continue to grow. So, all right, signing off. This is the Proverbial Life. This is a quick impromptu podcast. Didn't intend to come on, but I was just stirred. There is another video I want to make talking about, similarly to this topic, but talking about um, people who go apostate, right? They go astray and they no longer believe the Christian message, because I have another individual that I know very well, and maybe he'll watch this video as well, who has gone astray. And I want to speak with him. And he and I have spoken, but I also want to record it like this publicly so that it can help others who may be in this similar situation. So he knows who I'm talking about if he watches this. He's a good friend of mine. But I am extremely concerned, and I did share that sentiment with him, extremely concerned for the direction that he's going, because I know that he has veered away in many respects from Orthodox Christianity and has dabbled into some heresy. So, Lord willing, we'll be talking about that without going into grave detail with that. So hopefully there's some application we can all glean from. Evil Calvinist, hey brother or sister, not sure, but greetings, God bless you. So yeah, all right, y'all, I got to get going. Love y'all. This is the Proverbial Life. Let me put up my. This is the Proverbial Life, a podcast where we encourage Christians to look to Christ, live wisely, and leave a legacy behind for generations to follow. Grace and peace, y'all.